I think we'll just jump into questions right away because we spoke before the movie and I don't know what else to tell you. Go for it.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'm basically asking the same question I asked last time.
Okay.
You weren't here. I think there's a lot of potential to make a comic series based on Connor's dad. Would that be an option in this future?
We are
Hey guys,
exploring options.
Meet Ryan.
Ryan works for a comic book company.
Yeah, there we go. So we can't say too much more beyond that. We're obviously we have the series coming, which we're really pumped about. And I think for us, now that the movie's out and the world has seen it and it's clear that people want more, the idea is explored on all different mediums.
Thanks. Okay, no more questions. I hope you guys. Yes. Oh.
I understand you had the police, but they really weren't the main focus. So why Code 8?
Why the title Code 8? I mean, when we were talking about making the movie, it was kind of a holding title. And then we launched the Indiegogo campaign. And then eventually we were just like, we can't change the title now because we've built something off of this. And I don't know, I just thought it was kind of cool. When we told people, they're like, what's Code 8 mean? And we were like, it's a code for, criminal incident involving someone with a superpower. A couple people were like, is that a real thing? And I'm like, no, but it's nice that you think so. And by the way, I've been told a Code 8 is when an officer needs to pee. Which is a nice little fun fact. Yes.
I've seen the movie several times already. And
Thank you.
I like the open-ended, ambiguity of the ending of all the characters to feed into, whatever comes next. But the one that drives me crazy is because I change my mind every time I watch it, is when you're standing at your mother's grave. Are you there because you're going to jail, or are you there because you're running away?
Good question. When we shot it, we weren't sure. We knew that there were multiple options, but we wanted it to look like it could be either way. It could look like he's kind of going quietly to say something and then leaving town, or he's been given the opportunity to go say something and then he's going to, pay for his crimes. So maybe you'll find out in a little while.
In about a year.
Yeah, a little over a year.
Well, we will answer that
I
question
waited
though.
that long to see the movie to begin with.
It's fine. This is weird because everyone's.
We deserve that.
This movie takes forever. Movies take 8 years to get made.
Yeah, if you watch an interview with Martin Scorsese, he's like, yeah, we've been trying to make The Irishman for 47 years.
Yeah.
It did take a long time, but in movie time, it was light speed.
Light speed.
But the next one will take less time.
Way faster.
It has to, because we're not fully in charge. Yes? Indiegogo? Probably not. We've had a great experience with them.
I think the big thing for us is our focus, whether it's an Indiegogo or something else, we're very clearly going to keep, especially the core group of people who supported us, engaged. So we're gonna do stuff for the community. We don't know what form that is yet, but there's no version of this where we don't make the sequel or any subsequent kind of thing without the family that got us here.
Yeah, part of the experience of making Code 8 that was so special was getting to share it with you guys, coming to premieres, having people come out and be extras in the movie. It's just made it that much more special for us from start to finish. So whatever we do next, you guys will know and be involved in any capacity that we can have you. Yeah, in the back.
Hey, I'm a filmmaking major at University of Oklahoma. What's the best piece of advice either of y'all have heard about making it in the business?
I mean, I think what's really exciting right now is that everybody has a camera on them at all times. When we were both kind of coming up in the business, it was expensive and difficult to put together a film crew and to shoot something, and then there was no real outlet for it. You know, I think the nice thing right now is you can make something on your phone and post it on YouTube tomorrow, and maybe, you know, it catches fire. That's kind of how we made the short film. You know, we used expensive cameras, but really at its core, we just kind of made something with a bunch of friends and hoped that people would dig it. So I think what's really great is the experience you can build for free, or, you know, just through sweat equity and man hours, or with friends. The other thing is, you know, it's kind of the Wild West with distribution, with Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Apple and Disney and all of the other ones that are coming out. It used to be a studio system where you needed to make a movie with a big studio. And now if you make something cool and people like it, somebody's going to distribute it for you.
And yeah, the big thing for, you know, from a filmmaker perspective is don't try to make it into a job too early. And I know there's a lot of pressure for you to go and convert it into this thing that, you know, is optical for you and your friends and your family, being like, what are you doing with your life? It's a lot of pressure. You know, I think the best piece of advice is to find a group of people who you love making films with, and just keep on making films. And then even if they're terrible as you shoot them and they're terrible in post, finish them, just finish them, and go start a new thing. And so a lot of the people that we worked with on Code 8, I've been working with them for 10 years. You know, literally went to film school together. So it's the same people.
Yes?
That was my question. How did this relationship begin?
Jeff and I had the same agent in LA. He knew that we were both Canadian and we liked the same things. Jeff was in town taking some meetings when he made a Call of Duty short film, which is amazing. And he was like, you guys should just go have a bite to eat. So we met up, we had a bite, we chatted for an hour, and I invited him over that night to have a beer. My wife and I had a girlfriend at the time, had a little townhouse. And Jeff phoned me, he's like, hey, I'm with 10 guys, can we come over? I was like, oh,
It was the entire visual effects team that worked on this
from
movie.
Code 8. And I was like, are they cool? Are they gonna rob my house? He's like, they're all Canadian, they're great guys. And they came over, we had beers, we watched the short film, the Call of Duty film that Jeff had made, and Jeff and I became fast friends, and all the visual effects guys, Play Fight, which is a visual effects company out of Toronto, they became good friends of ours, or of mine. Jeff already was good friends with them, and whenever Jeff came to town, he would stay with Italia and I. We became really great friends, and we always wanted to work together, and things kept getting in the way. Jeff finished a movie, I was shooting the Tomorrow People. Steve and I always wanted to work together, and then we just kind of sat down when we were all in Vancouver one time and decided to try and make something for ourselves, and 4 years later, here we are.
Yep.
Yes.
So you and Stephen have finally got to work together,
Mhm.
and which is really awesome, which is one thing that I was really excited about. And so after all this time, what was some cool moments with working together, and like, do you guys have completely different ways of learning your lines and, you know, getting the character down? I'll hear about the experience.
It was great. I mean, we had worked together for 5 seconds on The Flash, and they didn't let us talk to each other because it was just too weird. They're like, everyone knows you're related. You guys can't talk to each other. So with Code 8, it was nice, you know, leading up to it, we both had as much input as we could with Jeff and Chris to mold the characters. And we shot in Toronto. Both of our families are from there. They came to visit set, which was really nice, just having, you know, having it be such a familial thing. And I remember the first day of shooting, is the scene in the diner where he's not interrogating me, but he's asking me, you know, why I'm doing this. And it was such a great first scene to have together because although we're so close as family, we had never acted together. So it was, you know, there was this little feeling each other out to see how the other one worked. And I mean, it was great. It was really fun. We have a lot of similarities and we have a lot of differences. Steve's always like, you're not, you know, my least favorite thing about Robbie and my favorite thing about Robbie is that he's not willing to go out and have a beer the night before shooting. And, you know, that's not to say I won't have a beer, I just won't have several beers. But But it was a lot of fun. We got to know each other and in a different way in our process. But after a little while, what I think made the relationship great was the history that we do have, and that you could feel that these, he kind of took a, an older brother or older cousin approach between Garrett and Connor. Thanks. Sweet. Yep.
So on that note, how did you choose your character, or how do you guys define which one to play?
Well, the Steve was supposed to be in the short film, and then we had to push because we were going to shoot in Toronto and it didn't work out, and we had to shoot in LA, and he was already back at Arrow. So the short film changed a little bit. My character stayed the same, and then we were lucky enough to get Sung Kang to come out and help us out. And then when it came to the feature, we knew my character would be somewhat similar, and the original version of Garrett didn't have powers, and Steve was like, I need powers. He's like, no. We just kind of went through a few iterations. Jeff and Chris are so good at writing together and finding these great moments and grounding these stories that, the sci-fi kind of blends into the background. And the great thing was, because they knew Steve and I, they wrote for our own voices. So, even though you're playing this character, you want to bring some of yourself to it. And it was just nice to be able to do that. Yep. We'll go you first.
Me?
Sure.
Okay. You talk about you and Steven wanting to work together, but what about anybody else? I mean, y'all both worked with a lot of people on a lot of different things. Is there somebody that you wanted to bring into, but they couldn't, or you wanted to make a character, but it wasn't gonna work out?
Sung Kang was our first choice when we lost Steve for the short film, and we never even thought about anybody else. We were just like, we thought about it at first, and we were like, man, we're both Fast and Furious fans. We loved Han, his character. We're like, maybe he would do it. And Jeff and Sung shared a management company at the time, and we got the script to them and sent, kind of Jeff's reel, and had a beer with him, and next day he said yes. For the feature, we definitely had names in mind, but every dollar we had is on screen. And nobody got paid on this movie. So many people that we had on the movie should have been working on bigger, maybe not bigger projects, but projects where they were going to make more money. And they didn't, because Jeff asked them to, and they knew how important it was for Jeff and for me and for Steve, and they wanted to work on something that they were passionate about, and that's why the movie looks as great as it is. Some of the people that we wanted, it's just tough. These actors, their time is very expensive. So, even if they're going to come in for 1 or 2 weeks, they'll say, well, I want $250,000. Well, their agents will say, I want $250,000. And we're like, well, no. It's just, I mean, it's one of those things. So we got very lucky in that, Kari Matchett, that plays my mom, was the first person who auditioned for my mom. I watched her tape, and I phoned Jeff. I was like, that's my mom, 100%. She, if you knew my mom in real life, she's the same person. So I was like, this makes my job exponentially easier. Greg Brick was, we just couldn't have lucked out anymore. He's so good as Sutcliffe. We went through a full audition process with him and narrowed it down to him and a few other people. Peter Outerbridge, who plays the guy who's chewing ice in the first time you meet Sutcliffe sitting across from him, he was the second last person, or he was the last person not to get Sutcliffe. And it was just, we loved Greg's read and we loved Peter's read, but they were very different. And we asked Peter, will you come and do this as a favor, in the hope that maybe the character lives on in another iteration, and he was willing to do it. So we just got very lucky with the cast. There are people we would love to work with. There are people that we would love to work with. But in this one, it was just, every dollar had to go on screen. Part of that was because the money was coming from you guys, and it wouldn't be fair to be like, well, we really wanted this person, so we paid them, you know, 1/10 of the budget, or whatever it would end up being.
Right.
Thanks. Yes.
So, a couple questions, mainly Jeff. So, what made this is an effects? It's an effects-laden film, and these are hard to make. And so, what made you think you could do this level on the budget you were coming at? And two, talk about the nondescript Lincoln City. It's because I love Canada, I love Toronto. I think I saw some streets in there that I've been to, some restaurants. So, talk about using the locale of this. I swear you're on Queen Street. There's a restaurant right there. I was like, I've been there with Queen and Spadina.
Oh,
right there.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing was, I mean, I kind of had a bit of a visual effects background, working with like the guys who I'd done commercials and shorts and stuff with before. So, I think part of this, we'd always been trying to push ourselves to see what we could do, and I think the more kind of experience we got working in visual effects, the more we realized that it's a lot cooler when you don't overplay things and you just kind of leave things in the background. So, our philosophy with this movie was like, let's try to shoot it as real as possible and be very specific about what we do in visual effects and make sure they look photoreal. So, the rule that I kind of gave myself was that everything had to be shot on location. So there's not a single build in this movie. It's all shot on location. Sometimes, in retrospect, I wish I had built some sets on stage because it made our days very difficult. But that was kind of our philosophy, and yeah, it ended up working really well. I think it had a really great aesthetic, and it also took our ability to bring Toronto to the screen, which is kind of our hometown. So yeah, it kind of all linked together. There wasn't one conscious thing, but it was kind of like our approach to the movie, and making it location driven and kind of giving it more of an on the street type of feel.
Yeah, just a couple more questions, then we'll do some games.
So you're talking about budget. How much did you guys get set back when Steven ran into the pole?
So when she's talking about in the movie when Steve's driving the garbage truck, he claims that he was supposed to do it. That's a lie.
He definitely
He was coached on how to drive the truck, and Steve is very stubborn, and he's like, yeah, I got it. And I think it was take 2 or 3, hammers the street sign. That's a real street sign. That's not like it's supposed to bend. That is a street pole in the ground. So it cost us, what, $1,000?
No. So what happened was we saw it happen. We're like, oh no, that's not good.
But it looks good.
So we bent it back up, and we're like, they'll never know. They'll never know we bent it. And the city, like a couple weeks later, was like, you guys messed up the street pole, and it was more than $1,000.
But it's in the movie, and it looks great.
It, happy accidents, you gotta take them.
Yeah. Yes.
Are we seeing a blooper reel?
There
Did
is
we
one.
give one
Yeah,
in
there's
the
one.
Michael question?
There's one in the digital download, which you guys should all have.
Don't tell Steve, he hates blooper reels.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows one exists.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's there though. And on the Blu-ray as well, there will be a blooper reel. So it's short, but it's sweet.